Okay, awesome. So I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I am a huge fan of Lost Boys, and so I'm super excited to have you on.
Amazing.
Jumping right into it, before we talk a little bit about your current performances, was there a specific moment when you were younger that made you realize you wanted to become a performer?
Yeah, so I kind of had a different journey into theater specifically. I was always really into music. I was kind of a band kid. I played trumpet and French horn, and I was in, lots of bands all through middle school and high school. And I didn't really start doing theater until I was in high school, and I sort of did it more for the social aspect of it. And then when I got to the end of high school, I was already like set to go to college for something totally different. And I sort of, we were finishing up our last show, and I was realizing like, man, I think I am really gonna miss, doing this, and I don't want this to be the last time I'm like on stage as a performer. And I remember feeling that way. We were doing so I'm from Cleveland, and we were doing Cleveland's version of the Jimmy Awards, sort of
Oh.
like the pre-Jimmy Awards thing, and we were all doing that, and I was like, I don't want this to be, you know, the end of me doing theater. Um, and that was kind of the moment where I re-evaluated what I wanted to do in school, and I ended up completely switching my major, dropping out of the school that I was going to go to, going through the whole college audition process, and going to school for theater and like really, starting that journey. So I would say the moment for me was when we were doing our big, performance in downtown Cleveland and thinking like, is this really about to be the last time I'm doing this? Because I don't think I'm ready to be done. Um, and then from there, the whole thing took off. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, that's incredible. And so you graduated from Texas State University, correct? Where
Yep.
you got your BFA in musical theater. And so how
hmm
did your time at TSU help create and improve the artist you are today?
Gosh, yeah. So I think we have a really cool program at Texas State where they value the individual. I think everybody who goes, well, first of all, Caitlin and all of the professors at Texas State, I think, are incredible at finding really good people first to come to their school, as well as people who are extremely talented. But I think they value the individual and the good humans above anything else, and they value what you bring as an individual to the program. They don't, when you get there, they don't try to like, put you into these boxes and then ship you off to New York. They value where your strengths are and encourage you to dig into what you're interested in, whether it be, music direction as well as singing and dancing or writing music, any of those things. So I think one of my when I think about my time at Texas State, I think about all the people that were there and how I loved meeting all of the different kinds of people who went to school there, and I think about how they like valued and championed the things that I was interested in, as opposed to like you must go to ballet now. Um, and I think that's what makes it a special school, the people and the value system. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, that's incredible. And so you're no stranger to the stage and have performed in a handful of shows
hmm
like Bat Boy at New York City Center, Floyd Collins at Lincoln Center Theater, and you're currently starring in the new Tony Award-winning musical The Lost Boys. And so is
hmm
there a specific role that really stands out to you of one of your favorites and why?
Um, yeah, let's see. I've had an interesting sort of journey with these shows in that I did a lot of coverage. Like in Floyd, I was a swing and covered 7 tracks. And in Bat Boy, I had my ensemble track and covered a bit as well. And now in the Lost Boys, I have my, ensemble track that I do and I cover Michael. So it's been really sort of interesting to learn and develop a track on stage while also learning and making my coverage tracks sort of my own in a way. And when you ask me that, what sticks out to me is when I made my Broadway debut. My first performance was in Floyd Collins as Homer Collins,
Wow.
and I didn't have a ton of rehearsal at the time because we were really early in our show process. And that for me it was like just an exercise of like you just gotta trust yourself
Yeah.
and go out there and just kind of like send it in a
Yeah.
massive role alongside like really cool performers that I've always looked up to. Um, yeah, that was I'll never forget that day and sort of what it taught me and just the feeling of, doing it really for the first time in New York.
Yeah, and that's such a huge theater too to like make your debut.
Gosh,
Like,
seriously, that the Beaumont is a beautiful theater, the
yeah.
biggest like stage I've ever been on. Yeah, it was incredible, and that really sticks out to me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And so, as you mentioned, you're in the ensemble and understudying Michael right now in Lost
hmm
Boys. And so, what
hmm
was the audition process like for Lost Boys?
Yeah, I have a very atypical audition process and story, I think, for this show. I started my time with this show started like 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I was auditioning for Michael Arden's Parade at City Center and didn't get it. And I was like, all right, fair enough. And then I got an email from my agents like, it's a no for Parade. It's not going to go any farther, but Michael's doing this, workshop of this new show called The Lost Boys. If you would like to just, you know, go to whatever studio we're doing and just like be in the ensemble and read this little part. And I was like, sure, sounds fun. Um, and I went and did it. And I think at the time it was for like a week, and I don't think Act Two even existed yet. It was just Act One, and we were all at music stands and just read and sang Act One. And then from there, I kind of just kept doing the workshops. Um, and they did a big, I think it was like a 5 week, like sort of really proper workshop before Broadway while I was doing Floyd Collins. And I think before that we had done 3 workshops. But when I was in Floyd, I was like, oh my gosh, I know this show's gonna, go to Broadway and I don't want to miss out on it. So I was just emailing. And then I went in to sing the Michael material because I wanted to keep my track. I wanted to keep like my job that I'd done for years, and I wanted them to see that I could understudy and like sing this part as well. So I went in and sang Michael for the whole team was there. And then the funny part is there's this whole flying component of the show
Yeah.
where you have to, be harnessed in and fly all over the stage. And that was part of the Lost Boys audition process too. But for me, I had been auditioning for Harry Potter and
Oh,
I think I had done like 7 auditions and flown for them
yeah.
in their studio. And those folks who were doing the flying auditions for Harry Potter were also doing the flying auditions for Lost Boys. So it was like I auditioned for Parade, didn't get it, and then started doing Lost Boys. Had that for a while. Went in to sing the cover material once, and then because they knew I could fly from Harry Potter, it all kind of like
Yeah.
was like a weird path to me, like holding on to my job for years. But it was not a typical like self-tape callback,
Yeah.
in-person callback. I never did like any of that for this job, which was very funny and silly over
Yeah.
the years. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so, Lost Boys is a huge cult classic movie. And
hmm
so, is there a specific moment that you look forward to performing each night that you like saw in the movie and you're like, now I get to do this?
Yeah. I think the our show does a good job of like, making callbacks or whatever to the movie and referencing points in the movie that people are probably coming to the theater and expecting to see. Um, one of my favorite things to listen for every day that gets a wonderful audience reaction is when we finally see Sam's Rob Lowe poster and the audience just kind of loses
Yeah.
it. And I think another moment is our choreographers were really smart in including sunglasses and when we're dressed as vampires. Um, so I think I it's very satisfying for me every day to listen to the audience be like, ah, I remember that from the
Yeah.
movie. And I feel that way with the poster with the sunglasses. And I think we have a nice balance of like our musical's new, but it's also a lovely homage and honors the movie really well. Um, yeah, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so, as a performer, who are some of your biggest inspirations?
Mm, some of my biggest inspirations. I would say Aaron Tveit, Jeremy Jordan. I remember when I was, in high school, driving around in my car, like singing "Catch Me If You Can"
Yeah.
and Newsies and those things. And those two guys stick out to me as like performers who are like, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. Um, I look up to them a lot and have for a long time. And then, these days I look up to people like Shoshana Bean a ton
Yeah.
and the way that she's able to balance her theater career with her music career. And just she seemingly is doing things all the time, every day. She like doesn't stop. And at the same time, she's so grounded and so like present with all of us at the theater and so giving and aware of how everyone's doing. And she just makes me, think like how you can be as a performer. She's doing so much and also so giving at the same time and so kind and I, it's just been like such a joy to see that every day and work with somebody like that. Um, yeah, I look up to her a ton, a ton.
Yeah, for sure. Those are great inspirations. And so
Yeah.
you recently performed on the Tony Awards. And so, what was it like performing on one of the biggest nights of theater history?
My gosh, it was insane. Um, it was the longest day of my life for sure. We got to our theater at like 7 a.m. I think, and then did a full dress rehearsal of the Tonys at Radio City. Came back to our theater and did our show, and then went back to the Radio City and did the Tonys again. But it felt like the craziest theater camp on steroids. Like I'll never forget standing in the wing waiting to go on for the opening number where everyone's on stage, and it was like everywhere I looked, I was like, oh, there's people from Schmigadoon. Oh, there's people from Rocky Horror. Oh, the people from Cats. Oh, hi, Casey Levy. Like
Yeah,
just like all in front of my face, and I was like, what is happening right now? Like all of Broadway is like right here, like right now, and it was such just like a joyful celebration of everybody's work.
yeah,
And it was really cool seeing people like see people that they knew, like, oh my gosh, hi, how's it going? How's it going?
yeah,
And it felt everybody always says like Broadway's such a community, but like in that moment, I was like, this is truly like what it's about. Like the awards are very cool and very special, but the fact that we can all be in a room together and like celebrate each other's shows is really cool.
yeah.
And then when we got on stage and like saw how big Radio City was, I was like, it was madness. It was so fun. So much fun.
Yeah, for sure. And so, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Um, I would say like take a breath and slow down a little bit. And it's really easy to put a lot of stress and on yourself and your product as a performer. I'm still relatively young, I would say, so I think I'm still learning things, but what I have learned and realized is like so many factors that go into like you getting a job or not that are not in your control at all. Um, So I think what I would say to my younger self is like just try hard to be present and to have fun with the material you're working on, and don't try to prove things to people every time you're, singing for them or acting for them. Like all you can do is present them with something that you're proud of and then walk out of the room being proud of the work that you've done, and then find a way to sort of just let it go and move on to the next. I think when I was really first starting in the city, I was like, do you like what I'm doing? Is
Yeah,
it good? And it's kind of a trap that you fall into. So I think I would point that out to my 5 years ago self
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so this next question kind of ties into the previous one, but what advice would you give to younger performers who want to pursue acting as a career?
Mm. Do it if it's something that you really want to do and are constantly like, will I, can I, like I wouldn't want anyone to live with any regret of like, I really wish I would have given it a shot, you know?
Yeah.
I was really close, like sort of what I was saying before with college, like I was really close to like not going for it and just like, going off and doing something else that I was interested in. But there was a feeling of like, am I gonna really regret this if I don't try? Um, so that's one thing I would say is like I wouldn't want anyone to live with any regret of not trying. So if it's something that you want to do, go out and do it. And the other thing that I would say is like go out and meet people. Take class, take voice lessons, put on a little apartment show with your friends. Take like ownership over the work that you do and do it. Don't wait for somebody to, give you a job. There's a bajillion people auditioning for all of these jobs in the city and elsewhere, and it can get to you if you're just like sitting on your couch and like, "Ah, when's my next one gonna come?" Yes, do all of your auditions and everything, but also like have something else that you're doing. Write a play with your friends, like write some music and sing it at a coffee shop. Like have your things that you can take ownership over that no one's gonna give you. You know what I mean? To be cliche, like that's how Hamilton came about. Like Lin-Manuel didn't wait for a job, he made a job, and that's what I would say. Like you have the power to create work for yourself if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. And so that actually wraps up the interview today. I'd like to thank you for joining me.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. It's
Of course.
fun.